Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash-flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great day, whatever day it is for you and wherever you are. Usually it is Friday on the podcast, but today we're coming on a Wednesday. Just felt to open up another time slot because, Wednesdays in the morning, it's fun to have a conversation and talk about real estate. So new day for you guys. And with that, I'm going to introduce our guest, Sam Wegert, here on the podcast. He is all about co-living. So if you guys are interested in that strategy, this is the episode to listen to. He's from Scale Co-Living, and he's got a lot to talk about on the subject. So Sam, thanks for hopping on the show.
Dude, I'm so excited. Yeah, thanks for having me on a Wednesday, no less. Let's go. Middle of the week. Nothing like getting over hump day with some real estate talk. Let's go.
That's right. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here?
Yeah, man, I'll give the highlight because I know that, we don't have a ton of time to dive into this, but I think the highlights of my story that are interesting are, like a lot of people, right? Like raised in a small town, hardworking family, maybe not like a lot of people in this aspect, but big family, came from 8 kids. And so just didn't have a lot of money growing up. And so what didn't get into real estate because I was wealthy. I think there's a common misperception out there is if you get into real estate, if you're wealthy, I talk to beginners, it's, everybody has the opportunity to invest in real estate in today's day and age, which I think is so cool. And it's why podcasts like this are so great, and people should be learning how to get started with that. So my mom put me in martial arts when I was really young, and I was just this kid who was out to prove to the world that I could be somebody, and business kind of just came to me. And I ended up buying the martial arts school that I was in with a little bit of a loan from my parents because my instructor, he wanted to go off and like fish professionally, bass fish full time, oddly enough. So I ended up just my first gig was I built this chain of martial arts schools. And again, I'm skipping large portions of the story here, but I joined a group. I joined a mastermind. The first really mastermind I'd ever joined. And these guys that were the elders of the group, so to speak, kind of came to me and said, Sam, you're doing well in business, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, my martial arts company is growing. I'm opening up new locations. I'm going from Virginia to South Carolina, and then I'm going to open up some in North Carolina. And they were like, that's great, Sam. But you know something about business? And I would say this to somebody who has a W-2 job or is a gig worker. Like, you know something about business and W-2 jobs and gig work? Sometimes it doesn't always go well. Like it doesn't always go well. And so they told me that you get kicked in the face, you lose your job, your business goes through a COVID, right? A martial arts business. Like imagine that and the craziness that ensued. And so they said, skim some money off the top and build a second engine. And so at the time I was renting out rooms and, I was cash flowing, double, triple, quadruple what I could if I were renting out these homes just to a single family. And I liked the community I was building in these homes. And I didn't even know the term co-living at the time. I just called them room rentals. I had housemates, but I kind of was doing this every year. I'd buy a new house and save up money. So I did what they said, man. I just skimmed money off the top. And I would buy this house one every 3 years initially, then one every year, then 2 every year, then 3 every year. Then it just kind of snowballed as I was getting into this. That's a little bit of my journey into real estate. And the biggest thing I hope people take away from just that very brief version of my story is that no matter what you're doing, it's so smart to be building a second engine because life hits you. And even if I thought I was going to be in martial arts forever and I was going to have 100 schools, and it just didn't happen that way. And I'm so grateful that I had real estate kind of pumping there slow and steady in the background. I was talking with one of my good friends, actually my cousin, this last weekend. He makes $500,000 a year in a W-2 job. Wow. He was like, yeah, so he's doing really good, right? But he was like, Sam, I don't know, man. Like, why would I go buy a house that makes, even if it's a couple $1,000s a month, which in co-living, you can get a couple $1,000s a month from a home. He's like, it's just too slow. Like, I'd rather just go close another deal because he's a recruiter. So he recruits people. That's why he makes his money. And I was like, I wish more people didn't have that mindset. Even if your second engine is slow, you still need a second engine, even if it's pumping off slowly. So build it.
Well, it is slow, but it builds over time. It's like a snowball. When you're doing transactional work, even in real estate, when you're closing deals, it's just you might get a large lump sum, but then it's done, and you got to keep going. You got to keep get the next deal, what I love about co-living or any type of long-term hold is that it's slow, it's small, but they build.
Yeah.
And so you buy one,
Right.
you add, $1,000 here a month, $3,000 there a month. And then over time, you're hitting the $50,000 a month. And eventually, people get to the 100,000 plus a month, but you got to build it. It's not something that just one hit wonder kind of thing and it's over. So I love that about your story though. You're really focusing in on the fact that it doesn't have to be your primary goal, your primary job. A lot of people that come on the show, we are active investors. That is our primary income. It's our primary way of engaging, with work. But that doesn't have to be you. You can start with the W-2. You can start building, like you said, that engine on the side and let it build over time. And eventually it'll be something that will provide that security for you. If you want to keep working, that's fine. There's no shade to W-2. Yeah. There's a lot of fun jobs out there, but if you lose it, it's not going to hurt you financially.
Dude, so well said. That's perfect. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm trying to communicate to people.
So with that, your specific strategy, you're building that engine on the side, you're starting to buy them. Yes. What you like to do is co-living. Let's first define that for people. What is co-living and what is that strategy within real estate?
Co-living is taking a single family home or some other duplex, triplex, quadplex and renting it by the room. And so what you're doing by doing this strategy is you're giving people more affordable rent. Now, granted, they have to share the common space and share the kitchen. They get more affordable rent and you get to double, triple, or quadruple what you would normally make on that home. So it's a win-win. It is helping solve affordable housing in America. And at the same time, you as the investor are making more money because you're not renting it to a single person. You're renting it to multiple people. That's in essence what co-living is.
Makes sense. I love it. Yeah. So, it's a great strategy, but I'm sure there are specific requirements that you need to be looking for in your home. So let's talk about what you're looking for when you're actually buying these houses, because like you said, it could be just a standard, single family house. It could be a duplex, a triplex, something that would generally be rented out to a single family or a single person. But you're changing that structure and you're renting them out room by room. So what are you looking for when you're actually looking for these co-living houses?
Yeah, I would say I just actually taught a seminar on this yesterday. There's probably 50 boxes you should check when you're looking for like what we call the perfect co-living house method. But I'll give you the top 4 because these are the non-negotiable, big, absolutely things you should look for. So first, you want to look for size. Size is important because ultimately you're going to be looking for a home that can fit a lot of bedrooms, and you're looking for a home that has extra space that you can convert to bedrooms, right? And nice bedrooms. You don't want this to be, a lot of people when I explain the strategy think rooming house or boarding house. Right, but when you think rooming house or boarding house,
college bedroom,
smells,
it was like 200 square feet.
Yeah, this is not that. When you walk into one of our co-living homes, you're walking into what feels like an Airbnb that was staged and designed, and it's nice. Now, we don't stage or furnish the bedrooms because that's people's home. That's what they're going to move into, but that's really important. So one is you're going to look for size. The bigger, the better, right? The bigger means more rooms, and that's really key. The second thing you're going to look for is less regulations. So no HOAs. You want to be in a city that's kind of somewhat friendly to this, and that's always changing and constantly changing. But ultimately, there's a lot of cities and states who are very, very friendly to co-living in the model that we do. So you've got, so no HOAs, right? And regulation friendly. The third thing would be making sure that it's a good neighborhood fit and making sure that you have parking. So neighborhood fit means, you're not in a neighborhood where everybody's got the white picket fence with the grass that's perfectly manicured. Like, no, you're driving into this neighborhood, and before you put a co-living home, you want to make sure that maybe someone's got a work truck in their front yard and everybody's okay with that. Someone's grass is a little bit longer than normal. Like a working class, maybe in real estate terms, call it a B+ or B- neighborhood is probably more accurate to what we look for. And then the final thing I mentioned would be parking, right? You need to make sure that, okay, if I'm going to have 8 people share a home, 9 people share a home, I need to make sure I have at least 2/3 that number of parking spots available. Now, that could be street parking. That could be me adding a pad to the right of the left driveway, to the left of the driveway, adding a little concrete, adding a little gravel. But as long as I can park that many people and nobody's going to be super pissed, that's kind of the thing that I would look for. So if you look for those 4 things, so we've got regulatory things, we've got making sure the size is important. We talk about no HOA, parking, and does it fit the neighborhood? Those are your big key things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like dive just one more layer deep in the size category that you're talking about, because you could be looking at a 3-bed, 1-bath, or you could be looking at a 6-bed 5 bath. I don't know. That's a lot of
Right.
bathrooms, but
Right. Yeah.
specifically bed bath combo, and then size of rooms. Your ratio of beds to baths. What are you trying to get at there?
Yeah, I mean, when we look for a home on market in our buy box, we don't look for any particular bed bath combo. The only thing we care about is square footage that's heated, right, and cooled, because ultimately, like, that's what's going to determine what I can convert, right? So, for example, the formula goes something like this. I won't look at any home that's less than 2,000 square feet, and 2,000 square feet equals 6 rooms, meaning I don't care if it's advertised as 2 bedrooms. I know that in 6,000 square feet, I can have a nice kitchen and a common area and at least 6 bedrooms. How do you know that,
Oh,
Sam?
so you're okay. Got it. So you're tearing down walls. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, mostly adding walls, adding closets, taking dining rooms, converting them, taking a living room, cutting it in half, converting it, and still having the house have a nice flow to it. But yeah, I mean, the way I think about it is if we're in an affordability crisis in America, which we are for housing, for people who make $15 to $30 an hour, we absolutely are, then the best use of space is not to like have common areas that people don't use or rarely.
Nope. We're just having a small issue here. 1 second, guys. Are you back on? You are back on. We lost Sam. Sometimes these technical issues pop on. It's the beauty of technology. Sometimes we lose our guests and then they pop right back in. There he is. There we go.
Am I good? All right, let's go.
You're good.
I was just saying. Yeah, I was just saying that, like, ultimately, what was I saying actually? Oh, ultimately, I'm looking for size and I'm looking to convert these rooms. We're in an affordability crisis. And if we're in an affordability crisis, then the highest and best use of a space in a home is a bedroom. I mean, that's kind of the dramatic stance that I take on this. Like, people need housing. 600,000 people will be homeless tonight in America. So we need housing. There's enough bedrooms in America to house every homeless person and every person who needs housing right now. We're just not utilizing it. So we don't have a housing shortage like everybody's talking about in the news. We have a sharing shortage. We have a creativity shortage. We have a use shortage, right? And in real estate, you talk a lot about the highest and best use. Well, highest and best use of this is so I'm looking for size that I can convert to bedrooms. So 2,000 equals 6 rooms, and then every 250 square feet beyond that. So 2,250 is 7 rooms, 2,500 is 8 rooms, 2,750 is 9 rooms. You bring me a 3,000 square foot house, I guarantee you I'm getting 10 rooms out of that house. Why? Just because I know how the formula goes. Now, am I going to have to add walls and closets and things and maybe add a bathroom or 2? Yes. But that's ultimately size matters. That's what I'm trying to say in a co-living.
Yeah, that makes sense. And size just being the square footage.
Yes. Thanks for that clarification.
So let's talk. So we went a little bit further into size. Let's talk a little bit more about location, because I feel like there's we can tease out some more detail there. You've mentioned, you want to be in a B-ish neighborhood. You want to have enough parking. You don't want regulations. I'm assuming it also really depends on the affordability of housing in the area. Like, if you're looking in Detroit, I'm sure it won't be as effective as if you're looking downtown LA or San Francisco or something like that. So what are you looking for in terms of location, like type of city? I know in the city you're looking for B class areas, but are you looking for near a hospital, near a university, like you would for Airbnbs, or is it just generally anywhere in the city and any size of city?
Co-living will work anywhere there's an affordability crisis in that city. And so it doesn't necessarily matter how big the city is. Like, Charlotte's got an affordability need, and so does Asheville. Asheville's 50,000 people. Charlotte is 2.3 million people. But Asheville's a tourist town and it's very expensive. So you're looking for areas that need affordable housing. And when I say affordable, I'm really talking more about workforce housing than I'm affordable housing, right? Because affordable housing has certain metrics, a simple term. But like, people that make $15 to $30 an hour, or someone that's 55 plus and is on Social Security or a set income, where are they living? And a great way to determine this is just to go into a city and to see, okay, you can call the city and they have a lot of data on this online as well, or use ChatGPT, but like, how many people are in that income bracket in a city? And then what's the average studio apartment price in that city? Because the studio apartment is usually the cheapest thing in any city. So you need to see what percentage of the population in that city cannot afford a studio apartment. And if it's and obviously the higher the better, but that's ultimately what you're looking for. And then you as the investor have to come in and say, hey, can I provide something that's 60 to 70% of what a studio apartment is and still make money? So here's an example of where it doesn't work. Someone asked me the other day, hey, Sam, I want to go to this little tiny town in like Nebraska or something. So I looked up what a studio apartment. I was like, I don't think this is a good city. housing is already fairly affordable there. So I said, let's go look at what a studio apartment is. Studio apartments go for like $500 a month in this city. So he would have to come in at like $350, $400 for a room. And it just like the numbers just didn't make sense. / most people that in that city, even though it's not a high income city, can afford a studio apartment. So, okay, we're not solving anything by by doing co-living in this place, in this city.
Got it. Okay.
So we want to be in a city where housing is increasingly becoming unaffordable.
Got it. Okay. So you mentioned you look at pricing your individual rooms. Did you say 65% of the studio price?
Yeah, that'd be a median. Yeah. If you can make money at that price point, then you're good.
Got it.
So you're going to run your numbers based on that.
You basically are looking to make sure that somebody who's making $30 an hour, working 8 hours a week, 40 hours a week, is able to afford. So I'm trying to get it down. What I like to do, we buy mobile home parks, RV parks, self-storage facilities. Yeah. When I look at a city, I look at the demographics of the city.
Yes.
And, if there's certain number of price per square foot in this city, is it still affordable? Is it still going to be making sense at what we're looking to project the numbers out with our pro forma? So I'm looking for that same kind of thing from you for your co-living. Are you looking for, do you have a median, if a median house sells for $400,000, is that kind of like what is the metric that people can look at and say, okay, this city works?
This city needs co-living?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you make money providing a 60%? Can you make money on a home as an investor? I would say the biggest thing that we look for is, can you make money on a home with rooms that are priced at 65% of what a studio apartment goes for? And if you can do that, then you can probably, then that city is the one that's worth looking at.
Cool. All right. Makes sense. So let's talk about management. That is always the hard part of owning any real estate, really. And I feel like it would be a little bit more difficult with, renting by the room.
For sure.
How do you do it? Does it work the same? I'm assuming it works similar to Airbnb, like you're putting locks on each individual door, like key codes. Yes. So tell me about management. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. So we have a house recently we bought. I guess we bought this one maybe a year and a half ago now, but I like to use this example. So, normally if we rented it to a single family, rent for $2,500 a month. We made it an 11-bedroom home here in Charlotte. Average room is $800. There's some higher, there's some lower. And so, let's call it $8,800. So, okay. So I've got this home. I'm producing, not quite 4 times what it would normally rent for, but it's 3.5, whatever. Let's call it that. And so, that's the fun part. That's the part everybody wants to see when they do see co-living. It's why all the gurus right now are talking about co-living. It's this newest thing. It's the greatest thing. But what's the hard part? Well, it took me 90 days to find that home, get it up and going, and get it rehabbed and all the things. 90 days. But ultimately, you're managing these things for the next 17 years. So I'm saying all this to say, by far, managing this is the hardest piece, and it's the reason why people are doing co-living and failing. It's because it's difficult. Imagine the nuances that come along with 11 people sharing a home. Johnny ate my peanut butter problems. I left my peanut butter out and Johnny ate it from room 2 and I'm now
drama is going to be the thing that's the hard about that.
Yeah, exactly. So having systems and could be someone smoking weed in their room and something smoking. It could be a million things that we've had to create systems for. I bought my first co-living house in 2011. So I've been doing this a little while. So I'm like, I pretty much know what's going to come up. Everything from, it's going to sound crazy, but I'm trying to get people the real on your podcast, right? Everything from, hey, there's a smell in John's room, and we find out John passed away.
Hey guys, quick break from the show. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know we are always talking about how important it is to have the right mentors and partners in real estate, which is exactly why I've opened up the Real Estate Investing Club online community. It's a place for active investors to learn, collaborate, and get real deals done together. And right now, it is 100% free to join. We host weekly calls where we review deals, talk strategy, and share tactics. Just click the link in the description below and come join us. It happened.
To Johnny and my peanut butter problems, right? So These are all things you're going to have to either handle and deal with. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where someone making, this is where the money actually gets made, is in managing this. And this is what I coach people a lot and support people on and do that. So, I mean, we can take it wherever you want to go. It's such a broad topic. I'm not sure I dive into one thing, but yes, ultimately it's, do you have a system for someone smoking? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess what I was looking for is, so specifically, do you hire third-party property management companies to do this? And I'm assuming like a standard multifamily, like when we went out to find somebody to manage our mobile home parks, we first started by calling property managers who manage your standard multifamily complex. None of them wanted to do it. It just it didn't make sense for them. They didn't like the asset. And so we had to kind of go out and we hired individual managers for each individual property. And then we got somebody to kind of oversee all of them. We had to kind of create our own property management company, essentially. It's not really its own company, but we had to make our own property management structure. Are you going out and hiring third party, or are you doing it all in-house?
Yeah, my wife and I own a property management company that manages ours and a bunch of our students' properties. But there are property management companies that you can hire. They're just far and few between right now. This is Airbnb in 2015. This is Airbnb before all the Airbnb managers popped up. So will it happen? Yes, it's coming. We're seeing more and more come online every day, every week, every month. But you can hire a third party. You can either do it. I mean, your options are really do it yourself, right? Learn the systems or whatever. Hire a third party, which you can. They're not advertising. They're overwhelmed. Everybody wants them to manage their property, so they don't have to advertise. I mean, they're very, very, very in demand right now. And even then, you kind of like, just so you don't get BS'd, you need to probably have done it yourself or know it. Or you need to build something yourself. That's kind of the nuance right now. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Finding a good property manager is very difficult. I'll tell you that.
Difficult in general, right? For anything, but let alone a new up and coming asset class. So that's the key.
Right on, man. All right. Well, I just took a peek at the clock. Looks like we have run through our time. So it's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Let's do it. It starts with education. It could be any form. It could be a conference you've gone to, mentorship program you've been a part of, a book you've read, movie you've seen, anything. I just need 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate. 2
life recommendations, one for real estate and one for general life.
Yep. Could be a specific conference you've gone to, any program you've been a part of, a movie you've seen, anything.
Yeah. I mean, I would just double down on my statement of like, if I had to give just a specific real estate piece of advice, just from something that's been reinforced over and over again, is like, don't get caught into the lie that income equals wealth. I think there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy, right? Rich is I'm making a lot of income, but you might be spending a lot on taxes. We talked about how much we hate taxes right before this, and getting all of our stuff together, not taxes specifically. But,
October 15th is when we're
exactly. That's when we're recording this.
I feel everybody's pain.
That's right. So it's like, I would just double down on this idea that like, you don't have to be like rich and wealthy are different. And we want to strive to be wealthy because ultimately we'll live off of our net worth. And so that is why real estate's so important. I have so many friends that make $1 million a year, make $1.5 million a year, make 5, like I told about my cousin who makes $500,000 a year, and they're rich. They have a lot of income, but they're paying all of that out and they're not building that second engine that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. So as for terms of real estate, I'd say, get wealthy, don't just get rich. We all know the doctors that are just stressed can never stop working because they make so much money, but they have so many bills. And I think real estate allows you to build some real equity in some things you're doing, things I'm doing. So I think that's important. That'd be my real estate advice. General life advice.
So real quick, do you have, for everybody who's listening and they want to go out there and maybe join some type of conference, go to a specific conference or go to a specific mentorship program to learn a little bit more about real estate? Have you been engaged with one that you could recommend, or that's what? Yeah.
I mean, I've been in a bunch of them. I'm a part of the one I was a part of for 14 years. It's called Go Abundance. It's only for men, but it's a great group. They call themselves they're a tribe of healthy, wealthy, generous men that choose to lead epic lives. I was one of the founding members of that group, and they were very impactful. That was the group that originally kind of took me under their wing and said, do this. And now I get to do that in my own mentorship program. I have a mentorship program specifically around co-living that I help people and support them in some of these same principles. So I'm really proud of that as well. So
nice. All right. I love it.
Yeah. What was the... Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to move on to the next question.
Let's do it.
This is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Sam who was just starting out or just buying that martial arts gym way back when. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Yeah, just ditch the shiny object syndrome is my advice. Like every time I would go, like life happens and just lean into whatever's in front of you 100%. Like just give it all you've got, whatever's right in front of you. And I guarantee you the next thing will appear, but it will appear naturally and normally, and it won't have to force it. I think that's the advice I'd give people. Like, go all in on what's in front of you. I wanted to be in real estate full time for many years, but I was just like, martial arts was in front of me. So I gave that all I got until it very naturally flowed for me to now coach and teach and help people with co-living. Like, it was natural. I didn't have to force it.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. Especially you mentioned shiny object syndrome, because it's so easy to get caught up in that.
So easy.
Even in real estate, it's tempting to, you're out there, you're generating leads, you're talking to owners, and it's tempting to switch assets. You're doing self-storage right now. You want to go to co-living. You're doing co-living. You want to go to multifamily or RV parks or whatever. But if if you're already going down a path, just put more effort into that path. And like you said, your career and your trajectory will kind of naturally, meander through life.
That's right.
Switching every single second is the thing that keeps you back.
That's right. Well said.
All right. Next question is about the U.S. It is a big place. There is a ton of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
I would just say Charlotte. That's where I put most of my eggs, in the Charlotte, North Carolina basket. It's politically, it's middle of the road, which I think is good. You don't have big extremes one way or the other. It's just been positive population growth for the last 40 years. It's one of the top states, I think, to invest in. Very landlord friendly, low taxes, low real estate taxes, low property taxes, like good, solid state.
Yeah. My brother-in-law lives out there. It's also very pretty, especially during the fall. You guys have got some good colors out there.
Yeah, I've got this sick view in front of me right now. I'm just looking at all the leaves turning. It's amazing.
All right, next question is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, pretty much every time something goes wrong, and that's when we get to learn a lesson. So what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you? And then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
I mean, this is going to sound like a silly lesson, but I would say, like, one thing is there's a movement in the real estate space to buying houses and things like remotely and managing remotely and buying it. I just think there's nothing like just actually physically meeting your contractors, touching the property you buy. And I've had to relearn this lesson so many times. I bought a property recently, sight unseen, in my own city, because I just buy a decent amount of them. And I was like, I know that area, I'll just buy it. It's like, I needed to, yeah. Anyway, and then I ended up being next to this like gas station that I like somehow missed. A simple, silly lesson, but just, like, be involved in real estate and touch ground and touch the people that are working on that home. And, this goes for contractors too. You leave a contractor for so long and they think they're not getting overseen by anybody, right? So, like, show up and be there every week, a couple times a week, to really make sure that you're just being a great force for good in your properties. Same thing with managing. Last thing I'll say is just, like, managing too, like, check in with your managers. No such thing as real passive income in real estate, right? We call it, in my group, we call it passive-ish, meaning it's like passive, but you should be checking on it weekly or at the very least monthly with your manager. So never step out completely.
Yeah. That is a great thing to kind of highlight there, is even if you have management in place, your job is not over. You have to meet with them every week, even if you don't have anything to talk about. The point is that your manager knows you're involved. The manager knows you care. And so they will treat your property with a little bit more care yourself. It's just human nature. It's just how it works. So you have to be involved with your properties, even if you have property management in place. All right. With that, I'm going to move us to the next one. This is, we talked about lessons learned, and there are also deals that just kind of work out. They are our highlight reels. Those are the deals that everything just seemed to kind of fit in place, and they sit in our mind as the deals that we absolutely loved. So take us to that deal for you, and tell us how it went.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully I've got a bunch of highlight reels. I think if you're talking about just cash flow deal, the one I shared earlier is probably the one I would just pick out. Is one we bought for $400,000. And, normally it's like, oh, we could rent this for $2,500 a month and we'd break even, right? Or we'd make, or we'd lose a couple $100. But I mean, you implementing the method that we kind of have been talking about here, Gabe, is just allowed us to take that property and make closer to $9,000 a month. So obviously cash flows thousands of dollars a month, and it's one single family home, and it's a great home, and it stays full, and it's in a great area. So I think those types of deals are obviously what we shoot for in every deal. Does it happen every deal? No. But that's what we'd love, right? Because the average person, it just doesn't take a lot it takes a few of those homes, 2, 3, for someone to say, okay, I've covered a lot of my basic bills. Now, is there some management aspect? Yes. But I mean, that's really what I'm passionate about helping people with, is getting to a level where they feel some freedom, not like private jet level freedom, but some freedom at 2 or 3 or 4 homes. And that's attainable. That's within reach. They don't have to have thousands of units. You can have a few homes.
Nice, man. All right. That leads us to the very last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. What does your company offer, and how can listeners get in contact with you?
Yeah, I just say Instagram at Sam, Wegert, at Sam Wegert. Wegert is my last name. It is a great way to I put a lot of content about, well, my personal life, but also just life and also co-living real estate, obviously. And if someone's interested, once a month, I do a free training. It's literally completely free. It is an hour a day for 5 days. We call it our 5-day challenge because it's a challenge. We're throwing you in here and you're kind of learning everything there is to know from A to Z about co-living. And we have an offer on that program, but it's not a pushy, salesy offer. It's really a way for you guys to get more connected with us if you want. But we've had thousands of people go through that 5-day challenge, literally thousands. And people rave about it. It's a great way to kind of enter the co-living space if you're interested.
Sweet.
They can go to www.scaleyourrealestate.com to register, to get on the waiting list for the next one.
All right. And I will put that link in the show notes. So if you guys want to get involved there, all you got to do is click the little more in the description. It's going to pull down that full description. And in there, you can find Sam's link.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks, Gabe.
And for everybody who's with us here today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.